Hello everyone! Today I thought it'd be fun to show you how I actually go through the process of building my palettes, and I was thinking that we could do something Christmas themed since we're getting close to the holiday. So if you want to see me build a palette and talk about my process behind it, then go ahead and just keep on watching and subscribe. So the first thing that I do when I'm building a palette is choose what size palette I want. I'm gonna go with a 12 pan today, but depending on the shades that we use, it may end up being less than 12 pans if they don't fit okay. But I know I want it to fit in this palette because I thought that this was kind of cute Christmas packaging with like the holographic. Then I typically will think about the color story that I want to make. And today I'm basing it around the colors red, green, gold, and silver, and that's going to be kind of my focal point. Sometimes I choose a specific shadow or two that I want to build a palette around. Sometimes I'll go based on things that inspire me, like art that I've seen or TV shows or anything like that. And then sometimes I just have a general color story that I want to do, and that's what we're going to do today. What I'll do next is start going through each of my palettes, pull out things that I think are good contenders, and then once I have a nice big collection of shadows, I'll start going through and pick out the 12 that I like the most. So I'll speed through this part and put a little bit of music behind it, and then I'll catch you once I've picked out some shades. I will interrupt and say, in case you're wondering, a true tragedy has struck. My most recent love, it exploded. I am so sad. I think maybe one of my cats stepped on the palette right in the perfect spot. I'm in the process of repressing it, but it won't be in this video in case you were wondering. All right, this is what I went ahead and pulled out, and you can see I obviously have way more than I need and then will fit in here. And this is where the fun part comes into play. Now I'm just gonna play around with different combinations and see what I like inside of the palette. And once I'm done with that, we'll have our finished results and we'll swatch it out. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about this color story. I'm gonna rearrange it and see if it makes me feel better or points out any ones that I wanna switch out. All right, I think that this is the palette. Let me go ahead, put it in, and then we'll talk about it as I swatch it out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this out now, and I just put away those other shadows, and can we just talk about the fact that like, this also feels like a very pretty palette to me, very earthy, I love it, but that's not what this is about. These are the rejects, so let's talk about our little 12-pan Christmas palette. This first shade is Phone Home by Looksy, and I chose this because it's a kind of pastel green to pink shade. I won't be able to show you the pink shift in this angle, but we'll try a different angle after I'm done swatching. But because it has that green and pink, I thought it tied really well with the red and green in the palette. And I don't know, this one was hard for me because I feel like it doesn't quite match everything else, but I wasn't sure what to put instead, and so we'll see how I use this in this palette in the future. Next up, I'm pretty certain that this is from the Kaleidos Futurism Sashimi City palette. I liked the idea of including a few neutrals just to make this a little bit easier to reach for day to day, but I wanted to keep something red in the neutrals that I got, and I thought that this was a nice warm red brown. This next shade is Until Dawn from the Halloween collection from Looksy, and I liked it because it's a gold, and I did know that I definitely wanted some gold in here, but it also does shift pink depending on the light, and so again I thought it was a good way to tie in some of those red kind of concepts as well. This green right here is from the Simply Posh Fairy Tale Fairies palette, and I knew I wanted a deep green, and I thought that this was just a perfect kind of evergreen shade, so I thought it's an epitome of Christmas. It's got to be in there. Also, from a practical point of view, I like that I had something to deepen up shades. I was kind of thinking as the red and the green as my deepening shades, depending on if I want to do a more green look or a more red look. I also, if you don't know, like to plan out my palettes so that way they can make looks across each row, looks in each column, and looks with a quad. So all of these different quads I was envisioning as being potential looks. And I have to say, seeing it swatched out, I do really like this as a quad. Moving on to the second row, I don't know where this is from. It honestly has some hard pan. I'll have to try to remove that later. But it's just a lighter kind of transition-y type of shade. I wanted something that I thought could work with the greens and the reds. I do feel like it leans a little bit warm, but with this warmer green down here, I thought it would be okay. I partially just wanted to put Bloodline in here because I've been really enjoying using it, but I do like that it does have, it's kind of a pink base, but there is something a little red about it. But it has that green and gold sparkle on top, and so I thought because it's got the red base and the green that it would be a good thing to pull in with those other green mattes and green shimmers, but we'll see how it works in practice. I was really close to putting a more just flat red shimmer or sparkly shade in here, but I decided to switch it up a little bit. I do feel like as a result though, we are missing a little bit of that red presence that's kind of coming in the shifts and things like that, but there aren't quite a lot of explicitly red shades. This next shade is Depotted from the Glamlight Chocolate Martini palette. I liked it because it's, a nice highlight color, and I like that it's playing on the gold, but in the palette it kind of looks like it's pulling in that white snow kind of thing for Christmas, and I just thought it worked pretty well. Our last gold in the palette comes from the Blend Bunny Surge palette, and I just thought that having a deeper gold would be really nice to, again, add some dimension to looks. It could be a good neutral look. It could look good with this topped on top of it. And I just thought it added a lot to the palette. I also like this gold because I feel like it goes well with the greens in here, but it also does go well with the reds because it kind of has a warmer type of base to it. Down here, I'm still getting my thoughts on this Shine by SD formula. It's their duochrome formula and it looks beautiful, but it definitely is that dry, really flaky kind of Shine by SD formula. I feel like if I'm using this on the eyes, I really do need to pull out a glitter glue to get the most out of this, but it has something kind of like a green-red duochrome to it. You can see it's a little bit warm, kind of burgundy in the base, just a touch, and it does go like a purpley kind of red in the shift, in the shimmer, but it also has that vibrant green, and so I thought, again, that color just really works well for a Christmas palette. This is another one from the Simply Posh Fairy Tale Fairies palette, and it's just a dark burgundy. I wanted something red in here, but I didn't want just like a fire engine red because I wasn't sure how well that would work in practice for this palette. Now we're moving into a more olivey kind of spring green. I wanted this to have just a tint of a yellow undertone to it, but I did want it to be a pretty true green, kind of keeping with the Christmas spirit. I didn't want to go too olivey, and I think that this turned out really well. I just realized I haven't been telling you shades. So this is Life of the Party from Shine by SD, and then this is Depotted from that same Blends Bunny palette. And then this last one is the shade Cosmic Noon by Terra Moons. Again, it's a green that kind of shifts to a gold and a little bit of a pink, and so I thought it tied well with these mattes, so that way it could be pretty versatile. I wanted something that I could use all of these different shimmers with the mattes and it would make sense. I didn't want things that couldn't go together at all. Well, that is the total palette. I'll go ahead and switch over to a different angle after this, so that way you can see, hopefully, some of those shifts that I'm talking about. But even just based on this, what do you think about this palette? Let me know down below. All right, here's my best attempt to show you the shifts. I feel like you can see that green really coming out in Cosmic Noon. Life of the Party, hopefully you can see that purple. You can see that pink base a lot in the Bloodline shade right now with a little bit of the green coming through, I feel like, on the far left corner. And then up at the top, this one's kind of hard to get, but hopefully you can kind of see how Phone Home is going a little bit pink. As for the pink in Until Dawn, I think you can maybe see a little bit of that pink sparkle with this angle, and you can kind of see that pink just a tiny bit in Cosmic Noon as well. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this little kind of tutorial thing on how I create my build your own palettes and the kind of process that I go through. Let me know down below, do you use a different process when you're making palettes? Would you like to see more videos like this where you see me pick out the shades? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down below. And until I see you next time, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Bye!